Hello, and welcome to Jogging Pants in the Pantry, the show where we look at some kitchen chemistry and the host dress comfortably. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about solubility. And so you probably already know that salt and water will mix, that you can make a solution with salt and water, but that something like oil and water do not mix. And so first question I'm going to ask you is, do oil and salt mix? And the answer is no, they don't. If you look closely here, you should be able to see the individual salt crystals still in there, not dissolving in the oil. And why that is has to do with the molecule's polarity. And so polarity is sort of like thinking about a magnet with a north and a south end. Many molecules have a negative or a positive end depending on how they share their electrons, or in the case of ionic compounds, how they distribute those electrons, some being given away and some being taken. And so salt is an ionic compound, which means that one side of it, the sodium side, is positive because it has lost its electron, and the chlorine side is negative because it gained that electron. And why salt then will dissolve in water is because water is molecular, but it is a polar molecular molecule, which means that they share electrons, but they don't share them evenly. Oxygen will want to hold those electrons more than the hydrogen do, making the oxygen side of water slightly more negative than the hydrogen side, and hydrogen then will be slightly positive. And so that allows, like magnets, they're able to attract each other. And so the positive side of water will attract itself to the negative side of salt, pull that away, and the negative side of water will attract it to the sodium side and pull that away, and then that's how the solution is formed. Oil, on the other hand, can't do that. Oil is nonpolar, meaning it basically shares all its electrons evenly in the molecule, and so no part of it is more negative or positive than any other. So it's sort of like trying to use plastic with magnets. It just doesn't have any attraction. So what I would like to show you then is a fun demonstration or a fun activity you can do at home that's pretty child safe, although it could get messy if you're not careful. And I want to make a lava lamp today. So what you'll need is a 2-liter empty bottle of pop, doesn't have to be 2 liters, some water, a large flashlight, food coloring. Blue tends to look best with the yellow oil, some Alka-Seltzer, and finally the cheapest oil that you can find. And so the first thing you want to do is fill up the pop bottle, not completely full, and this is where it can get messy, with the oil. Okay, that's pretty good. And now you want to fill up the rest of this bottle to pretty close to the top with water. And we'll see that the two don't mix. Because water is denser, it sinks to the bottom. And there we go. So we'll let that settle for a second. Okay, that's pretty separated here. You can still see that there looks like there's some bubbles down there at the bottom, but we can clearly see that the oil and the water are not mixing. So the next thing I want to do is take some food coloring and drop in, 5 or 6 drops. So the first question I want to ask you is, do you think that this food coloring will mix with the yellow oil here to make green oil? Or do you think that it will sink to the bottom and mix with the water? So let's take a look. Notice that the food coloring is sticking to itself and not mixing with the oil at all. There we go. And we can clearly see that blue food coloring is not mixing with the oil, and it's kind of getting caught here at the bottom where there's sort of a layer of oil and water that isn't allowing it to sink through. So the last thing we want to do is take some Alka-Seltzer. You take like 1 tab. You can break it up into about 4 pieces. And this is where the lava lamp comes in. I'm going to turn on the light, the flashlight. I'm going to turn off the kitchen lights. And now I'm going to drop in some of these Alka-Seltzer tablets and we'll see what happens there. So that goes in. And what we should find is that once this starts bubbling, that the food coloring is now able to mix with the water. And we've created a lovely lava lamp. Press play on your favorite Bob Marley or Grateful Dead tune now. And there you have it. So now you know how to make your own homemade lava lamp. Some things that I will point out is don't put a lid on this while you're doing this because the gas being released by the Alka-Seltzer will build up and you don't want that. It'll make a big giant mess if you ever take the lid off. Anyway, I hope you'll give this a try and have some fun.